What are you all up to? Right now I just got all of yesterday's tomatoes off of the truck. So right now I'm cooling them down. I have them shaded. I had them shaded over there so they're not bad. But I do this when I have fresh vegetables that I harvested from the field. I have to do this 3-4 times a day. I do not have like a walk-in cooler or anything like that. I have 45-degree well water. And what I do is I literally make it rain on them enough to cool them down. And then I bring them into our shaded garage here. And then in about 4 hours or so, I come out and I'll respray them. If I don't do this, I get half the time with them being good. Half the time. And I am in the works of designing a cooler trailer. And so next spring, I hopefully will be able to work on that over the winter and have a nice cooler trailer that I can use to also sell veggies out of. There's a lot. And a lot of people are probably thinking like, whoa, like, why do you do that? Like, why? Well, you know, yesterday when we were at our sale, there was a lady there. And she was born and raised in Mexico. And she saw my kohlrabi. And she was kind of hesitant, but she's like, these remind me of something when I was a kid that we used to make as a family. And she's like, I haven't been able to find them anywhere, and these look like it. So she bought a couple to try them out with her recipe or whatever. And about an hour and a half later, her husband come up and said that those brought her back to her childhood. He said that they are exactly the flavor that she had when she was a child. You know, the fact that I helped give that feeling with just growing some vegetables, to me, that's rather impressive. You know, one of the big problems with the world these days is I think food should be produced by the masses. And it should not be mass produced. If one farmer can feed 1,000 people, which goes quick in a town where they got big families, if every person in this town is able to get fresh, healthy produce from just a couple local producers, that would ultimately help counter these huge box stores that are pouring absolute crazy chemicals all over our stuff. So think about that one. It should be produced by the masses, not mass produced. You lose all of the health benefits from it. Like you go to the store today and you get yourself a tomato, and I bet you that tomato will be pale on the inside. Even if they don't use pesticides, what they do is they harvest while they're completely still green. And then they put them into a chamber and then they gas them with ethylene gas. And what that does is that's the exact same chemical that gets released from tomatoes and apples and bananas when they're ripening. So what that does is they're forcing that thing to be ripe before it's ripe. So it may look nice and red. It may look juicy, but when you cut that thing open, you're going to get firm, pale tissue on the inside. Very little juice with seeds. And that's important. You know, that's one of the things that gives tomatoes its flavor, is that ripening process. They extract all of the sugars from the branches and the leaves and the roots, and they put them into the tomato. Okay? That's how all vegetables get their sugars. If you don't let them get to that point, they don't absorb the sugars, and then you get a tasteless, bright red tomato. I don't ever want that. I want them to be grown in organic soil with organic fertilizing, organic pesticides, organic everything, all the way up until they start turning red. Once they start blushing, then they good. But if you don't see red on it, or at least a color change, I wouldn't pull it. And that's what they do. So, those of you out there growing your tomatoes, and those of you big box stores, you guys need to try some new practices, because those tomatoes suck. These are second to none, let me tell you. And I'm not just bragging, but these are the most delicious tomatoes out there, at least in our town. So I am going to finish this up, and then I'm going to get them chilling in the shade in here. All right? I hope all y'all are having a happy farming. Later, y'all.